Good afternoon and welcome to today's Success Life Live. My name is Eric Reed and I get to be your host for this edition of Success Life Live Radio. And each and every week we get together because I want to give you some kind of tool, some kind of insight, some mindset reset, habit formation tool that you can help on your journey of success. And so this week, this one is that awkward subject. It's kind of talking about what qualities make a great coach or what is a good coach. And, I say this as a coach, but I also know that there are some people out there that are searching for a coach this time of year. And they're asking themselves, I don't know what a coach is. I don't understand the coaching process. How do I know if I've got a good coach, or what does a good coach look like? And so during this episode of Success Life Radio, I hope to help you at least understand why I think I'm a good coach. And when I look for a coach, and yes, I have many coaches, and often I have 2 or 3 coaches simultaneously because they're working in different areas or different things in my life. And I'll go over that as well. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Sit back, get your notebooks out, get your pens and papers, because we're intentional about our growth. And the way that we prove that is by investing the time to learn. So hope you do the same during this session of Success Life Radio. So today's lesson, I really want to talk about what makes a good coach, or what are the 5 or maybe 6, or we'll go on maybe to 7 qualities of a great coach. So first, what is coaching? As somebody who has a background in counseling, family counseling, drug addiction, grief, and behavior.
You are listening to the Success Life
Live
is
not the
with
same
Eric
as
G.
coaching.
Reed. Please take a
Therapy
minute and
is
comment,
not coaching.
subscribe, like, or follow our show.
Training
And
is not
to stay up
coaching.
to date on
Coaching
events and
is
teaching,
that
check
idea
out
that
ericgreed.com.
You have within you what you need to cross the finish line in a 4-minute mile. My job as the coach is to keep you focused on that 4-minute mile, but also to remove the barriers that might be stopping you, to review what's currently working and not working and bring it to your attention, and then to pull in other resources that will help you succeed in achieving that goal. So with that image of sort of that track star coach kind of thing, that even on a team like that, where you're an Olympic athlete running 400, you'll have different coaches for different things. You might have a starting block coach. You might have an endurance coach. You might have a muscle, a stretching coach. Like, you can have a multitude. You'll have a mindset coach. If you're at a high enough level, you might have somebody that coaches you on public speaking and guest appearances and making inspirational speeches. For me, I have typically my personal development coach, which helps me become a better person, a better dad, a better spouse, a better man of faith. And then I have my business development coach. Now, the two know about each other. The two cross-channel with each other. What happens in one doesn't necessarily isolate the other. But when I meet with each of them, we have one thing in mind. We have a goal-oriented session. My personal coach knows what I need to work on in my personal life. My business coach knows what I need to work on in my business life. They understand that those goals connect, but they're separate at the same time. And so having a coach who is goal-oriented, a coach who understands your short-term goal and is able to help you keep focused on that goal and be realistic about that goal is critical. A difficult coaching session for me is where the client sort of comes in and they wander and they talk and we try and find something to hang on to. That's more of a counseling session where they have something on their mind that they want to discuss and they want some feedback and they want some mentorship and they want some insight. Now, coaching does take on that part. There is that part of coaching that often happens when I'll ask a question and we'll explore feelings and ideas and beliefs. But we do it in the process of moving it out of the way so that they can continue to move towards their goal. So again, one of the first qualities is find a coach that's goal-oriented, not only for themselves or for their business, but also asks you, what is the goal of coaching? What is it you want to see changed in your life as a result of this engagement? What is your timeline for seeing that? And then the second thing a coach is motivating. Now, I'm not a rah-rah, cheer, go kind of guy. I'm not like the, all is warm and hugging and cuddly kind of motivator. I'm a practical motivator. I'm not sure what that looks like to others, but what it means is that if you do something, I acknowledge it. If you're striving, I acknowledge it. I always say, I'll meet anybody halfway. I'll even go 2/3 of the way. But if they don't get off start, I'm not showing up. It's sometimes the same in the coaching relationship. I'm not going to falsely motivate you for not taking action. But when you take action, no matter how small it may seem to somebody else, I'm going to motivate. I'm going to encourage. I'm going to engage with that. I'm going to look at it and say, okay, here's what we did. How did you get to this point? What did it feel like? How did that help you? We're going to use that accomplishment, that momentum, that win to motivate us to stay engaged. And yes, I use the plural because I'm invested in your success, sometimes more than you are right now. I believe more in you and your dream as a coach than often you do in the early stages. And so it's my job to show you that that's achievable, that you can do it, and remind you of the progress, because often I'm trying to defeat old bad belief systems that have told you, yeah, but it only happens once. Yeah, don't get your hopes up just because it went well today. Doesn't mean it's always going to go well. No, my job is to get that belief system out of the way, which really leads to number 3 is that honesty. I'm going to be honest with you. Maybe I will be the only person in your life right now that is 100% honest with you because I'm not invested in the outcome. And what I mean by invested in the outcome is your spouse may not be honest with you about what's going on because they got to live with you. They got to sleep with you. Their finances are connected. Your boss, your employees, your teammates, they may have something at stake that if they're honest with you, it could jeopardize the status quo. And in jeopardizing the status quo, they may end up in a place they don't want to be. And so you may not have people that are 100% honest with you or willing to risk being honest with you for your benefit. And by having a coach who comes into it saying, I'm going to be honest because you asked me to, because this honesty, this feedback is for you to hear, see, and grow through. Honesty or feedback without being a tool to use to better oneself, that's just criticism. And I'm not about criticizing somebody, but I'll call you out. I'll say, look, 3 weeks in a row, you told me you were going to do this. 3 weeks in a row, we've had this call where you didn't. Let's get honest here. Is this something that you really want, or are you just saying it because it makes people think that you're doing the right thing? And in that honest conversation, for the first time, clients get to be honest with themselves. They get to discuss things in a sacred, trusted place that maybe they haven't done before. So again, for me, that coaching space, that time that I set aside is a sacred place. I know that sounds very woo-woo and West Coast, but what I mean is if I don't guard it, if I don't protect it, if I don't show up fully engaged and authentic, open and honest with the sole goal of helping you achieve your goal, how can I expect you to as the client? If I'm not honest with you, how do you know that honesty is received by me? What I model, you return. And so having that place where I can be honest allows you to be honest with yourself and honest with me. And that's when growth really happens. The fourth thing is really about communication. And I've said it over and over. I don't connect with everybody equally. My job is to hear you, to listen into you, to understand you and your language and your voice and your pattern and all the things that make up your style of communication, and then work within that. It's not to bring you to me, but to me to become available to you. And if we're not communicating, and it can happen because of a personal bias, a background, there are clients that when I say I don't work with, that we reach a point that it's difficult to work with. Sometimes it's women who are surviving abuse. And when we begin to speak about that abuse or speak about that trauma, they don't feel comfortable speaking about it to a man. And no matter how honest and open and safe I try and make them feel, they're not in a place to go there with a male voice. And so I'll often say, look, we're doing everything we can, but we're not communicating openly and honestly. And I've tried to move that barrier out of the way. It's time for me to ask you to go here or suggest you go there so that you can continue this growth. But also my job is to communicate to you in a way that you hear you, that you understand it for you. Having systems in place as a coach, and oftentimes with my coaching clients, we'll have somewhat of an agenda of what the next 2 or 3 calls will look like or what we are together for. Again, I said we have goal-oriented. To communicate that over and over again, to remind them that we're on this journey and that where we're at here and then where we're going next and where we want to arrive at, to keep that communication, to keep that framework of what we're doing together very clear is important. Many of my clients have goal boards, they have the recorded sessions, they have notes. We make sure we communicate on multiple levels because sometimes it requires multiple levels to learn. And then the other thing I included, number 5, sort of in my top 5 things for a great coach, are a coach that shows up prepared or in the preparation. For me, as a coach, like I said, I keep notes of the conversations, both for my clients and for myself. So I have the past recordings that are only for my clients or for myself to review. I have the notes or conversations that may occur in between coaching sessions, and I keep it all in a very organized place. It's partly my nature, but also to make sure I'm doing my job well. Sitting down at the start of each day, reviewing the clients that are coming up ahead, reviewing those notes, focusing on those calls, bringing myself up to complete alignment and awareness of what's going on so that when I step into the call, I'm as present in their life as they are, or as much as I possibly can. I've prepared follow-up questions. I've prepared thoughts that maybe have come to me following the call. I'm responding to maybe emails or texts that occurred during the week that we put on hold until we get together. I have exercises and resources that often during a coaching session I'll stop and I say, hey, let's do this exercise. Or take out a piece of paper. I want you to do the following thing. I don't rely just on the conversation sometimes. Sometimes I know that having an exercise, a experiential learning type of activity, either during the coaching session or that they prepare before or after the coaching session, is as valuable as the coaching session itself. And so I need to be prepared to have those resources at hand when the need comes up. So when you're talking about a coach, and when I talk about hiring my coach or interviewing my coach, I ask, I listen for those clues. Are they goal-oriented? Are they motivational? Are they being honest with me? How do they communicate? What styles, what levels of communication do I feel? And then we're going to implement. And then how prepared do they seem? How resourced are they for handling what I want to accomplish? Not every coach is perfect in every way, but I want to know that they're invested as a coach in the coaching thing. It's not just like, I sell makeup and Tupperware and coach. It's kind of like, okay, I have a heart surgeon who also does landscaping. coaching is a very personal and very private and very fundamental thing to many people's success personally and professionally. And the cost that it incurs deserves that it be treated professionally at a very high level. And that's why when I speak about keeping the coaching space sacred, I am honored to be a coach. I am honored to be chosen to be somebody's coach because I know the level of trust and faith they've placed in me and the power of that relationship and the positive if it's done right, and absolutely the opposite if it's not done right. That I seek out to be a great coach, and I seek out great coaches to help coach me on being a great coach, because that's what coaching is. It's not just a one and done. It's a constant learning and growing and developing. And, I compare my coaching techniques of years ago to now, and some people will say it's almost like you're psychic, you're intuitive. It's like, no, I've invested in learning how to coach. I've invested in the NLP. I've invested and understanding behavioral psychology. I've invested in learning, and it only makes the process better for me and therefore for my clients. So as I started out, it's kind of an awkward conversation telling you what a great coach looks like. I believe I'm a good coach. My goal is to always be a better coach and to grow as a coach. And so part of that is this thing like Success Life Radio. It requires me to learn and to study and to prepare and to engage through the radio or through the live or through public speaking or through writing or through the things that I do. I'm always engaged in my environment. I'm always engaged in my passion and my purpose. I take the job of coaching very seriously, and I sometimes wish my fellow coaches would do the same. But hey, I'm just one man trying to change the world. So if coaching is something you've thought about, if coaching is something you're trying to figure out, I hope this helps you understand at least what to look for as you lean into coaches. Don't necessarily get fooled by a fancy websites or lots of credentials or, all of that stuff can be built by a third-party person without ever engaging in the coach. Sit down and make that discovery call. Sit down and make that consultation call, whatever it is, and listen for those things. Ask them, if they ask, what are your goals? If they sound like they're trying to motivate you and encourage you to achieving them, if they're honest, if they're able to communicate in a way that you can hear, that listens to you, but also that they're listening into you in a way that you feel understood. And then how prepared are they? Like, what resources have they used or are willing to use or things like that? Because it is an important relationship. I believe everybody needs a coach, and I say that not self-serving because I spend lots of money on my coaches. I think everybody needs a coach. And so with that said, I hope you found this session of Success Life Radio useful. And as I went over maybe the 5 qualities of a great coach, if you did, go ahead and hit the comment, hit the like, hit the share, leave me some feedback so that I can continue to grow as a coach and also add more value to this podcast. And until we get together next time, understand that with my full heart, I believe each and every one of us is worthy, truly worthy, and worthy of the success that we seek. So go out and live your life with success. You are worthy of it, my friend. Bye-bye.
You've reached the end of another episode of the Success Life Live with your host, Eric G. Reed. Remember to stay connected with us at ericgreed.com for updates on events and teaching. Till next time, go out and live your life of success.